Back again, Wash Up Walk-Ons podcast, presser review. Got some good feedback on the show in the last few weeks. One of them being that for next year's show, assuming David doesn't die of a heart attack from all the coffee he drinks or decides that he doesn't like the walk-ons anymore, needs someone else, has to find somebody else to try and take down the ANF podcast with, that we should add in a little bit from my side of things. We should add in some comments, some thoughts from the opposing press conference.
Oh, I like that.
And I was like, wow, that's a great idea. I'm dumb. Should have thought of that one.
I like that a lot,
So I actually went and looked at now, unfortunately, Smith didn't give us a whole lot this week on Michigan State. They're in they're reeling a little bit. They're trying to figure some stuff out over there. No conference wins yet for the Spartans. We'll get to that. But I do think that's a great idea. I don't know who to give credit for that, but somebody suggested it, and I think it's great. So we'll add that to next year's show. We'll do a little bit of that today. Again, not a ton from the Michigan State side of things. We're brought to you by FanDuel all season long. And up in the corner there, for those watching, either on the live broadcast or the replay, the Washed Up Walk-Ons store is always available. And actually, that's not even the one I want. The one I want is the holiday merch, of which we have some limited edition items available now through Sunday night. When we'll do our Michigan State recap pod, we will hammer that home on the recap podcast on Sunday. That will be the last time you can get this holiday merch. Kirk's Dogs, walk-on stuff, Hawks by a Million stuff, bunch of fun items over there. Go check out that stuff through the QR code or the link on our social media. And remember that the main objective there is to build up a donation sum as best we can for the yearly giving to the kids. David, how are we doing?
I feel like I'm about 70% back. I've had about a 102.7 fever the past 2 days.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I've been knocked out, and combine that with the fact that I'm probably off of about 5 hours of sleep over the last 3 days. But
no.
Yeah, it's been brutal. I did not go to the press conference yesterday because I started to feel a little bit better yesterday, but I was not about to go get a player sick on senior week.
That's probably smart.
I think Kirk would have killed me, and rightfully so, probably. But you know what? We're okay. This is the first day I feel like I'm starting to regain myself. I looked like a walking dead zombie a day ago. When I try to sleep, my mouth just not locked, the opposite of lockjaw, just kind of goes.
So there is signs. There's signs of life, though.
Yeah. I feel a million times better. But I did the post game podcast with Elliott after Iowa's loss last week, and an hour later, bro, my fever just spiked, and I was already on my deathbed, and I'm thank God I did that podcast right after.
And you didn't go to LA, did you?
No. Well, I didn't know with the government shutdown and everything. I was afraid I was gonna get trapped in LA.
Yeah.
And I was I'm not about to get trapped in LA.
Bad spot to get trapped.
Yeah, not great.
Not the place you probably want to get trapped, especially after the loss to the Trojans, the fourth of the year for Iowa. Tough one. Another tough one. And just can't get over the hump. Go check out Elliott and David's post-game pod if you want their thoughts on it. I'm going to get a little bit of them right now. What's the state of the union from the 247 squad over there for the Iowa Hawkeyes right now?
I mean, it's just a what-if season, man. Mekhi Lemon's a freak, dude.
Bro.
There were some catches he had where I'm if you're Phil Parker, what do you say? He was blanketed, and he was just so athletic, made so many freak plays. Obviously, the defense could have stepped up, but at the end of the day, man, Iowa's offense just halted in the second half. They didn't get anything. My magic number before the game was 28. I felt like if Iowa got to 28 points, there was a strong chance they were going to win that game. How do you think I felt after they had 21 in the first half? And Mark, the Philly special, I thought Mark was confident. I thought the second half he missed a lot of throws, but ultimately, Iowa was down 3 offensive line stars at the end of the game. The one big criticism I have, Jennings Dunker and Cade Pieper have both been great as potential first-round guys. Okay? By whoever you want to take seriously as far as, NFL draft. I don't think Pieper's going to go, but at one point he was mocked in the first round. On a must-score drive, Tyler, the last one of the game, Iowa ran the ball 3 times, okay, before that 4th down attempt.
Yeah.
They ran all to the right side. They were down their entire right side, the offensive line among the starters.
Yeah.
And on that 3rd down in that situation, I think it was 3rd and 9, I believe, they ran Xavier Williams. Normally, I'd understand. Tyler, that was his only carry of the game. He wasn't fresh. He was fresh, but he wasn't in the game flow.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
In
Yep.
that situation, I thought Lester called a great first half. I really don't think he called a great second half. And I get people want to complain about the officials. The officials were bad. Okay, there's just zero question. The officials were bad. You can't blame the officials when you score 0 points in the second half.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. But I also am still curious what the hell happened at the end of the game. For the unsportsmanlike conduct, for apparently, Kirk said he stepped over the line, one of his assistant coaches did. Lincoln Riley got a sideline warning right after that in the same sequence.
Oh.
And Iowa never got a sideline warning the entire game. Take a step back, though. Ultimately, man, they just didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve to win that game.
The intel I have is that it was Seth Wallace.
That would not surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either. But of course, if you said any name on that staff, I probably wouldn't surprise me. I struggle. I agree that the play in the second half, the production in the second half, does lend itself to describing it as they didn't deserve it. But man, this team really does deserve it, though, in the macro sense. I think what hurts, I think I said this on the recap for us, I think what hurts so much about this year and these losses is throughout the years, you can go back and you can find plenty of, Iowa loses games every year. They're not the 11-1, 12-0 team that you find, they're not elite. We all know that. There's plenty of losses out there to go back and look and compare to. And a lot of times you're like, yeah, not a lot you could say about this game where we deserve to win this game, right? Or that we even felt like this team could win this game, or that if you flip the coin, 10 times, it's like we win this one or 2 out of 10 times. And what feels bad about this team is against Indiana, against Oregon, even throw Iowa State in there, but really the 3 Big Ten losses, is you feel like with the performance that they put out and what they've shown on the field this year and the talent that they have on the roster, you actually feel like if you flip the coin against all those teams individually, you might win 4 out of 10. You might win at a 40% rate, maybe even upwards of a 50-50 ball game.
I was going to say, especially you have to put into consideration the context, right? If you would have asked me, and again, I'm almost going against myself. Preseason, I picked Iowa to beat USC on the road. Okay. But now looking at the way the season is unfolded and everything, Iowa had Indiana at home. They had Oregon at home. USC is the least likely one you win.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because you have that Kinnick edge. But ultimately, man, I just go back to this. I think I said after the Oregon game, Iowa's cursed at this point. I'm not saying that as a cop-out, but they are so close, and assuming if Iowa beats Michigan State, which I think they're going to, if they beat Nebraska, which I think they are going to as well, it will be a season of what ifs, but it's also getting to the point, man, where it's and I hate to keep harping on this, but we have to. They can't take that next step up in the tier of the Big Ten tier list until they beat ranked teams.
Yeah.
Until they beat the teams that they're not supposed to. The Penn State one you thought was going to be fantastic, and you would sign up for 10 times out of 10. They're still talented. They're not good. Like when you look at the way the season's unfolded. So they're going to have a lot of opportunities next year. We talked about that last week. I
Yep.
think, 7 teams could potentially be ranked on Iowa's schedule, at least in conference play. And I think once that breaks, I think Iowa just needs to find a way to win these close games. Because if you look at the season, Tyler, look at the average margin of victory Iowa has had this year.
I know.
They're kicking everyone's ass and they're losing the close games. And that's what's ultimately made the difference this year. The games that they have won in the past several years, which a lot of outsiders would argue they should not have, because how bad the offense is, right? And they can't keep getting away with this. That was kind of just the whole meme. Everything always progresses or regresses to the mean. And I think Iowa losing these close games is kind of the world's way, or just kind of the nature of the sport of kind of evening things out right now.
They just the football gods, the ether, decided that this year was going to be, they were going to pile all the karma back into 1 year against all the good teams. Maybe. I don't know if it's a curse or not. At this point, at 31 years old in my life, there could be a higher power that's working on the football system in America.
But again, I will say again, they are so close. And it's kind of funny. Kirk did allude to it yesterday, and it's a phrase my dad always used. It's close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Like, they're not going to take moral victories. I think it was Chad Lyska who asked, like, we feel like it's one of your better teams. Do you feel like that? And he basically said yes, but he's also not going to sit there and give them heap praise on them when they are what their record says they are.
He's a football guy, and he knows that he can't stand there and say, yeah, this is one of our better teams when the record is what it is. I would, as a member of the 2015 team, this is one of the few teams where I would feel really concerned playing against them. If you could play 2015 Iowa versus 2025 Iowa, which would be, I'd pay money to see that. I'd have to be in the game, but I'd also pay money to see it.
You know what I would love to do? We should do sometimes just as a bonus pot. What if we went by position and in all 2015 versus all 2025? Like, who would make the first string on every team?
Between the two squads?
Correct.
I don't think that goes well for us. That's what I'm saying, is there would be a few spots, but like, again, what was magical about the 2015 team, and again, I referenced that team on our recap podcast. That team did not play a schedule that like this team has played, and that obviously factors in. But that team
also goes say you guys weren't the most talented group, but you guys were easily one of the most connected teams that KF's ever had. You guys knew how to win.
The sum was greater than the individual parts added up.
Correct.
There was when you added 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, it didn't equal 8 somehow. It equaled like 14. And the magic of us and the chemistry and just the way we found ways to win games, again, against a lesser schedule, but with lesser talent. And just something about this team. And again, going back to the coin flip thing, you feel like the 3 Big Ten games we've lost, we've played in a way where if you play that game 10 times, you win 4 or 5 of them, and we've lost all 3. Like, you're sitting there flipping a coin with your buddy, and you're like, I've got heads, you've got tails, and you flip it 4 or 5 times in a row, and it's tails every time. You're like, no, this is not how statistics work. It starts to feel like somehow the universe is against you, and that hurts a lot. It hurts for several reasons. One, we paid a bunch of money for Mark. He pretty much, has been what we needed. You could want more from every guy on the field, but he's given us a lot of great stuff and a solid guy who can run the offense. And we're only going to get him.
That was my column yesterday.
Yeah.
It was exactly that. Like, he sets a new standard for quarterback play. And I know people are like, well, what about the pass game? Obviously, there's issues in the pass game. I think Iowa's getting some dudes in the wide receiver room, though. If you have Bud Elliott, who has continuously shit on Iowa's offense and skill position players, complimenting you and the talent you're bringing in, that's a very, very good thing. Because I know Iowa fans don't like Bud Elliott for a variety of reasons, whatever. Bud Elliott doesn't hold back, and he knows football. So, like, when he compliments Iowa, you take it very seriously. They got 2 wide receivers from Florida coming in. I think obviously Mark's missed some passes this year that he has to hit. I think he'd be the first. He was the first person to tell you. I think there's still some skill issues on the outside. I also think getting another spring and not bringing in an injured quarterback and having your guys compete and be there for it, I think that's going to help significantly. But ultimately, like you said, man, like Gronowski's just a gamer. The dude is not going to be an NFL quarterback. And that was my whole point on Saturday. And people were going to my mentions, whatever. He's a damn good football player. And I would argue he's one of the best leaders Iowa has had in this past half decade, at least. I think you can just tell how respected he is. And that's the new standard of quarterback play. And I mean, his touchdown count's still pretty damn good.
The ongoing streak of games where you run for a touchdown, that's my only goal at this point, is to have him run for a touchdown in every single game. Yep. I think at this point they're going to get there. So just tough. And I think it's been played out and talked about on every podcast, like, what if? It will go down as one of those seasons. At this point, today on Wednesday the 19th, hopefully it goes down as one of those seasons, because there are still 2 games left, one that we're going to talk about here in a second. And if you put your head down and pout and don't show up for those games, they're both very easily losable, as well as a bowl game is. So they have to finish business here. They talked a little bit about that. But yeah, I thought starting with the press conference from after the game, 6-minute press conference, just 6 quick minutes. And they even got to the spot where like coach was like, any more? Okay.
No, he was pissed.
Right.
You could tell.
Wet, pissed, lost. Like, it's just so tough to step into a press conference like that. And he was forthcoming, but he did mention how he liked how the guys focused. We talked a lot about the UCLA game last year and how I don't think that this game week, this travel will be looked at nearly the same as UCLA was last year. He liked how the guys were prepared. He liked how they were focused. He liked the mentality that they brought to the game, the focus, and everything they brought to the game prep. And, still a loss on the scoreboard, but obviously a different result competitively. They came out in the first half and looked like
college football playoff team.
Looked like they might run USC out of the building. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then that Makai Lemon just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna be the best receiver.
He turned into David Bell.
The catches were David Bell. We let catch, and I feel like David Bell was more after the catch.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is its own, like, there's 2 different things. Makai Lemon was like the body control and the ball skills, and like just
if he's not a 1st-round draft pick, I don't know what a 1st-round draft pick looks like. Like he strikes me as a guy who's gonna go like between 20 and 30.
Well, we talked about how last time we played USC in the lead up to this, we're like, yeah, we played. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown and
that's so insane. Michael Pittman
and another guy, and now you see what those guys are doing in the NFL. Drake London, and then I think you, and I could be wrong, but I think 5 years from now, when USC shows back up on the schedule or whenever, and we're like, hey, we went out and competed out west with USC. You're looking at and you're going, yeah, look at what Lemon's doing in the NFL now. Look at what Jacoby Lane's doing for the Cowboys. It's going to be those 2 guys are going to be those dudes in the NFL. And unfortunately, he came out in the second half and decided, like, yeah, I'm just going to be better than everybody on the field. It is what it is. And Coach talked about that. He said that he's as good as he's ever seen in his 25 years of coaching football. He doesn't throw those around a lot.
No, he doesn't.
And he said he could think of, I would love to know who he was thinking of, but he said, no, it might have been David Bell.
I would imagine it is.
Nobody has impacted a game more by themselves than Lemon did the other day. And
I would assume that's David Bell. I don't know how many other guys have torched Iowa. I really don't.
Yeah, individually like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe Devontae Ross.
I was the guy I was getting, but they still won by like what 3 scores?
Yeah. We didn't lose that game, so it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
high praise for Lemon, and again, like you said, there's not a lot you can Coach Barker can say guard him better. I don't know how you guard him better.
You don't. I mean, you just with the physical tools that Iowa had at the time too. Like, I think of that one where it was like that overhead catch where Hall is literally draped all over him. Great defense. It was just like, by the way, Mayava's really good. Some of those throws he made too, dude, I was blown away by.
Yeah, the throw and catch, there is 2 parts to that, and he can sling the rock, man. Like, he's even other good quarterbacks. We're not even talking down to Mark's level of throwing, which is very brute and backyard football, get it done, but it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Even other quarterbacks in the country who can throw a good ball, Mayava's on a different level from them. When he throws a football, it's so goddamn smooth. It's like he was born to do it.
It's effortless.
And I'll be honest, Dante Moore had a lot of that too last week.
Yep.
The way that it comes out of their hands, it just looks different. It looks easy. They don't even have to think about it. It's gonna be there and it's on the money. I would love to know what that feels like. Because they're on another level.
I really like Iowa's incoming quarterback, besting from Utah.
Top 10.
By On 3, by a different site. He's still very highly rated by us as well. But talk about Bud Elliott, who just complimented Xavier Stinson, the new wide receiver commit. He complimented Iowa's quarterback coming in as well. He said it's the best quarterback Iowa's gotten in some time. I hold value. Again, I give Bud Elliott a lot of credit for knowing what he's talking about. And again, I know why Iowa fans don't like him. Iowa's just at a very interesting point, and I'm very interested and excited about the transfer portal and who's going to potentially go to the NFL, because we're talking about, Cohen Entringer. Safe DBs might kind of worry me. I'm not going to lie, going in next year. They lose Wampa. If they can't keep Entringer, if Entringer ends up going to the NFL, I think you got to go find a high caliber safety in the portal to come back. To come to Iowa.
I would love to know let's see. Draft scout Cohen Entringer.
I don't know, but all I know is he was very non-committal about returning next season.
Yeah, and
there's been rumblings that he's exploring his option. I think he should. Absolutely. No hate from my part. But at the end of the day, even me talking to people behind the scenes, Tyler, it's been pretty much a consensus from 4 different scouts I've talked to. He would benefit a lot from coming back for 1 more year.
I think
just
he would too.
On more tape. And yeah. I think he's first team all conference, second team all conference caliber next year. He's that good to me.
And nowadays with the way that NIL works, maybe a good time to shout out the Swarm as one of our sponsors. You would pull Iowa fans around Kinnick Stadium on a game day and you'd say, hey, is Cohen Entringer one of your top 10 guys on the team? I think the answer is pretty resoundingly yes. And Brad came on the show and talked about how the Iowa Swarm Collective is pretty much now meant for and geared towards those guys. You have to recruit your own players back sometimes. And whether that's from, hey, we know what the NFL offers you in a ton of money and opportunity, but now we can pay you a little bit. Now we can make your time at Iowa worth it just a little bit more. What if they have to do it? I'll tell you this, keeping Cohen might be a big number. It's probably a smaller number than if you have to go out and get somebody
100%
of his ability to step in and not lose any production there. I agree. Keeping him is going to be a little bit cheaper, and that money is going to come directly from the Swarm. Shout out to the Swarm for sponsoring the show. and for essentially sponsoring the guys like Cohen who are trying to keep. And so if you want to, maybe if everybody donates a couple bucks here to the Swarm today, we can contribute to keeping Cohen and Tringer in Iowa City a little bit longer. Shout out to our other sponsors as well. Got a picture of my my favorite people, Doug and Patty, having some chicken lips at Gray's over the weekend. I think since I've introduced them to it, and a bunch of other people on the show have had their first experience with Gray's Gourmet to Go this season in Iowa City. I think Doug and Patty have made it like a weekly thing, it seems. They're my favorite people, and big supporters of the podcast, big supporters of the Hawks, and now big supporters of Gray's. And there's a reason that people keep going back. It's because they are delicious. Yeah, man, you and I could probably do an off-season monthly episode on the transfer portal, NIL, recruiting, all of that stuff. Maybe we should, and we could do that draft as well in the 2015, 2025 teams. But Kirk had a little smile when asked about, let's see, what was the specific question?
I don't know, but he basically just started talking about, I think he was like asked about like the portal additions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he said, now it's not even speed dating, it's blind speed dating, and like it's going to accelerate. The fact that there were like a 4-question span, he went from, he talked about online dating too, and he goes, "Oh, I haven't had to do that."
He's like, I didn't have to participate in that, but I've heard it's it works sometimes.
Yeah, he went from online dating to horseshoes and hand grenades in like a 3-question span.
I love how he's like, I probably shouldn't say hand grenades, so I'll get in trouble with some people there.
It was so good.
He also said the word. He also said through the COVID. Somebody asked about COVID and how it was impressive how a lot of these people didn't have high school senior years and they had to come in during the middle of COVID and lockdown and all this stuff, and they made it 5-6 years later as seniors in the program. And he mentioned he praised all the people who did and said, we also had some fatalities in there.
I was like, my God,
fatalities! I love it. It's like
I'm happy somebody else picked up on that, because I just sat there and I'm like, did he really just say that?
I fucking love it, man, because one of my personal mantras is I don't know if it's a mantra, but more of like a saying is like, and it's most of the time it's when I try to hype myself up about like being really good in CrossFit and trying to be like an athlete still in the competitive scene of fitness.
Yeah.
And my whole mindset is there will be casualties. I literally the other day was like designing a custom flag about set like that's going to say casualties required. And it's sort of the same ilk of like, yeah, we had some fatalities in there, is when you're doing something at a really high level, people are going to drop off. And that was a really funny quote.
Are you that guy that before you do like a big CrossFit workout, do you like go stare at yourself in the mirror and play some like hype up music to like really get the juices flowing? Are you still that guy at 31?
So no, not on like not in everyday training.
You're not playing freaking Tavon Austin highlights, Helen back in the background,
dude.
Staring yourself,
low key, a little Tavon Austin.
Hey, nobody can ever talk shit if people do that. If you're going into a big workout, and
dude, I should throw on
the first 5 seconds of Helen back. You got like a TV in your CrossFit room, like playing the highlights. I might blast that after this podcast now.
Dude, I should throw on those highlights.
Do that as you're drinking your pre-workout and just staring at yourself in the mirror.
To answer the question to everybody who wonders, for effectively to anyone else, yes, I am that guy.
I would. It surprises no one, Tyler. I'm right there with you. I'm making fun of myself too.
I don't. Most of the time, the CrossFit I'm doing is just training. So I'm not like that crazy intense, like it's all on the line hype. But when I'm doing a competition, of which I'm currently actually like doing a qualifier to try and like make it to Miami in the spring for a big competition, and like the scores going on a leaderboard. Yeah, there's a quick moment of like, some people pray, some people like visualize. I might smack myself in the face a couple times and like, the tunes get cranked a little higher and it's like go time. Yeah, I still do that.
It's like say I'm him, just staring at yourself.
I am him, baby. Just picture Dan Lanning like foaming at the mouth, like Bring it.
After the post Penn State interview.
Yeah.
When everybody goes like, oh, he's on something.
Yeah. He's just on football. But yeah, it was funny. He was asked about like the portal and like getting guys who can quickly assimilate, I believe, and like then having to go back into the portal and he smiled like begrudgingly almost as he was starting to think about, wow, what we're going to have to do again in the next couple months, because this is what we have to do in this college landscape is like not super fun. And like, it's just funny to get a glimpse of how they're always sort of thinking about the timeline and what's next. And so that's something he talked about. I wanted to mention something. Mark Abbott calling it a career. PA announcer in Kinnick Stadium, a staple to the Kinnick experience. His voice was a big thing for me because I wasn't like Josie Jewell, where it was like tackled by Jewell on the play. You know, like I didn't get to hear my name called a lot in the stadium, but every once in a while when we ran out for a PAT, it was always Kane, you know, Kane with the extra point, Kluver the snapper, Kidd the holder. And I was like, yes. He said my name. And so like, what a career, man. And what big shoes to fill. Somebody's going to have to step in and be the guy.
Really, really intrigued about that. I always think it's, it's such a minor detail, but I always think it's cool that Kirk acknowledges those type of things. I mean, he had John Campbell last week, after the loss, acknowledge him, then now acknowledging Abbott. I mean, at 26 years, I don't think I ever went to an Iowa football game where he wasn't.
Yeah.
So I good shout out there.
Also, senior day this weekend, of which we mentioned Cohen Ingtringer is going to go through that process just in case.
Which was interesting, by the way, because he was not listed in the pregame notes that he was going through it.
Interesting. 28 seniors. 28. That's so many, dude.
Yeah, it is.
And I get it. It's the COVID. It's the final COVID hurrah.
What we think.
Well, how would it not be?
I don't know, man, but I thought it was over 2 years ago too. Like I'm just
no, it's officially over after this year. And that's twice as many seniors that I walked with. And that's
really?
I walked with 14 guys, and maybe our class was small, the ones who walked. But I feel like it was pretty normal. There's been a couple of years where it was like 16, 17. We had 14. 2 of them weren't even in our class originally. It was Ben Neiman and Miles Taylor who came in the year after us, but they didn't redshirt. So we actually had 12 guys, walk-on scholarship combined, that made it to the final day. And they've got 28 grad transfers, COVID years, 6th years, Logan Jones, Herkett, like all these guys. And that's 28 off of a roster that is smaller now. I mean, that's a significant amount of guys that you have to replace. And so, just another nod to the portal. It was fun to hear Coach. Again, I always say this, but I highly recommend to go and listen to these and watch, because every little detail is really great. He talked about 2 or 3 different guys who just not a lot of people know about in those 28. Zach Tweet, one of them. Jeremiah Pittman, who we had on the show a couple years ago, has dealt with some injuries. I think he mentioned Cale Crow or somebody like that. Yeah. Guys who just haven't got a lot of playing time. You're not going to know them by, the stat sheet, but he, similar to him, kind of giving an ode to the PA announcer and the reporter from last week. He's so good about recognizing people, and it continually blows me away. It's like very impressive that he finds time to fit that in.
And on top of that too, to cultivate personal relationships with guys that aren't not that high on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I'm not getting named certain coaches, but it's very apparent to me that there are certain coaches that, quite frankly, couldn't give a shit less about you if you're not performing at a high level. I mean, I could think of one recently fired LSU head coach that would be the top of the list and the first person I would name.
Yeah.
So I want to run this by you too, and this is me overreading into what happened yesterday. very non-committal about injuries.
Yeah.
And maybe I was reading in between the lines a little bit too much. I think he's very much more optimistic about the offensive lineman playing. Based on, again, I'm not reporting this. I'm overreading into it.
I'll report it. TJ Hall not going to play.
I don't think TJ Hall's playing. You knew exactly where I was going with that. I don't think TJ Hall's playing.
Again, one of those things where if you watch the press conference, he's not giving a definitive answer or not. You guys, you as well as your peers do a pretty good job of like, what's the percentage here? Like, give us coach is like, is he probable? Is he not probable? Is he doubtful? Get kind of making fun of the signifiers in the NFL.
I'm going to go find the exact quote when he was asked about it. The one thing I will say also is he did say Zach Lutmer would move to corner.
Yeah. And so it didn't sound like TJ Hall had as good of a chance as Dunker or some of the offensive linemen. Again, this Michigan State, we haven't had a break in a while. There hasn't been room to breathe. And I'm not saying that you can just take this weekend off. But if there was a weekend to breathe here, it's against Michigan State, who's got some issues. They're banged up too. Again, basically one of the only things I learned from their press conference is that they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Mainly their quarterback, Aiden Childs, who we played last year. Not only is he banged up and unsure if he could potentially come back this week, but the guy who replaced him is also banged up. And so if neither of them were able to go, or if any of them got hurt, they'd be bringing in a true freshman as their third string quarterback. Don't think that we see him play this weekend, but whatever of the first two string guys we get, we're not getting a 100% version of them either. And so all the teams are dealing with this right now. And if there was ever a game, and David just talked about it, where you start to draw thin when you're moving guys around, and you're like, okay, who do we have left here to stick in in the secondary? It feels like we could manage not having TJ Hall, who has been really great for us this year. But they'll have to figure that out and shift guys around on Saturday if he's unable to go, which kind of sounded like what it might be.
Yeah, and so Kirk's official quote was, he's working through it too. We'll see how it goes. I'm not overly optimistic, I guess, out of all the players that got injured. We'll see if he doesn't go. Deshaun will jump in there and do a great job. So they'll flip Deshaun,
put Zach
side, and then they'll put Zach over in Deshaun's spot. But again, Zach's been running about 4 or 5 different positions. They feel good about playing him in those different situations. And, with Michigan State, not to get too much into it, but I mean, this was a game even before the season. We were talking preseason. I basically guaranteed Iowa was going to win this game. I didn't know how Michigan State was going to be, but after what happened last year and it being on senior day, I just have a very difficult time seeing any scenario where Iowa loses. And I think by FanDuel, just, shout sponsor.
Shout out.
I think by FanDuel's odds, I think Iowa's a 15.5 point favorite. I want to say right now.
I'll pull it up. I don't see any, I will stamp approval that statement and say I simply don't know in what world with the current the optics, the way that things have gone, how we usually play in November. We're 0-2 in November now. We need a win. Where Michigan State's at, how talented they actually are with the amount of seniors and leadership we have on this team, which again, Kirk mentioned. I just don't. I do not see. It's up to 16.5 now.
Okay.
So Iowa money line this weekend is like the mortal lock of the century, and I know that that's like the death sentence when someone says that. I don't see how Iowa loses this game, which is good. That puts us at 7-4 on the year, and that advances us a little bit. But yeah, like I said, like they're gonna figure things out and get it done. FanDuel, America's Sportsbook. You're looking at Michigan State at Iowa, 2:30 in Iowa City, 16.5 point underdog Spartans with an over-under of 42.5. So they're basically looking at it like a 28-14 game.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, and I just looked this up. We talked about, I said average margin of victory, I believe for Iowa is like in the 20s somewhere, just in like the games they win.
Yeah.
If you take every game and the average scoring margin, Iowa's 17th in the country.
Yeah.
In scoring margin this season. I know that not to rub salt in the wound, but
yeah,
that's exactly how close Iowa is to really taking it to that next level. So again, Iowa, I think, got healthy. They were banged up early. They got healthy. Obviously, the offensive line's going through it. I think they'll be a finalist for the Joe Moore Award, but I think they had to get one of those big wins to really solidify.
Yeah, they aren't going to win.
The Joe Moore. I think they should be finalists, though, because I think if you look at reasons why this year has been, they've achieved the level of success that they have so far. I mean, the offensive line, Tyler, what would you say is 1 or 2?
Probably 1, yeah.
The only other thing I would argue is Gronowski in the fourth quarter, because I think about Penn State. I mean, even that, or I know people want to throw aside the Oregon thing, but like, I think and at the end of the year, you and I will talk. We'll have a big reflection on the season, but like, there are such signs of growth. But the other side of it too is, I'm really intrigued about how Lester attacks next season, because there have been games where he just does not get out of his own way, and he just goes through stretches of like brilliant play calling. And again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm a know-it-all about football. Like, there are countless people that know more about football than I'll ever, like, know more than I will in like 8 lifetimes. But you have to take a side about a play call and a situation. You have to separate that from the level of success that play call has.
Right.
You can't judge a play call by the success it has.
No.
We've seen horrible play calls go for 70 yards, and you're like,
well,
that's not great, but it worked. So you accept it, right? I mean, there have been plays where Iowa's fallen short on 3rd and 4. They get 3 yards, but I'll sit here and say, hey, you know what?
Great play.
Hell of a play call. Like the Philly special at that time, awesome play call.
The number one
play call, the 4th and 3 play call. Like, Tim Lester's made great play calls.
The number one play call that even though it was a great call, we still wish you could have back in another way. But Indiana, the screen.
Yep. It's a great call.
Great call. If we catch the ball, we walk past the first down line, potentially into the end zone, and we most likely win the game. And the call in that spot against that defense is perfect. And it didn't work out, but it was
correct.
Perfect. And he's had multiple of those this year, and I think the sentiment I've seen as a short conversation on Lester, well, he does have, a couple times where you're like, what are we doing there? The drastic difference in production, calls, looks, motions, the spot that he's taken the play calling versus where Brian was has made the fan base flip completely from shitting on the offensive coordinator to, can we keep this guy? Mostly from what I've seen online is like, how do we keep Lester? Like, is Lester going to stay a Hawkeye? We now have people concerned that we're going to lose our offensive coordinator. So that's, every single coach is always going to have someone who's like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's 95% plus positive reviews from pretty much everyone. So, it is going to be interesting where he takes the offense in year 3. They have to get better passing the ball. I think it was really hampered this year by RVZ going out. I think that hurt them a lot and what could have been. And Coach Ferentz also talked about in this press conference how, because Mark is such a good runner, they kind of played into that. Like they did last year with Caleb Johnson and how heavily they relied on him. Because Mark is good at what he's good at, Coach Ferentz said, we've ran Mark a lot more than we thought we maybe would have.
Which goes back and it pushes back against the narrative, Tyler, of does Iowa's offense stay the same? No, they've clearly adjusted.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to recognize that too. And the other thing I would throw in there, and I'll let you finish your point, is I think Mark Gronowski's knee injury against Indiana also hurt.
Yeah.
Because, again, he put on that brace, and that really impacted just his, the bottom half of his body and the way he throws the football. Yeah. And you could see it clearly in the first couple of games post-injury when he came back.
Yeah, so they have to find a way to get better at throwing the ball. And I'm not saying they have to throw it for 300 a game like USC does, but they probably need to throw it for 150 a game and maybe 200 a game.
I would say 205 to 210 would be the magic number for me.
And if Hecklinski's your guy, everything points to him being able to sling it more than Mark is capable of slinging it. He's the best pure passer they have on the roster. And further than that, you're questioning, can the other guys do it? I just trust Lester in his complete revamp of this quarterback room. He's got a bunch of guys who he feels comfortable with. He's identified can throw the ball. And the identification of talent in the quarterback room is another thing that's completely drastically changed because of him. This isn't Padilla, Petrus, Deacon Hill, Cade McNamara. Like, this is different.
I'd also point to the fact that they're going to get a lot more tight end production next year. Yes. And that's going to help open up.
That hurt us this year too.
I agree. I think Vaname is really starting to come into his own. I'm excited as hell for what that dude's going to be next season.
And he was one of the ones. This is my last note on the presser. Everything about him easy to like is what KF said. There's a different quote about me out there that's much different than that from KF. So that's good to hear. You heard from both his teammates and Coach Ferentz about how he flashed a ton of this in camp. By the way, as a walk-on, shout out to him. And it didn't come along quite until now. He's getting some reps. And Coach explained him as, he's talking about how blocking is hard to project because you have to block as a tight end too. And he compared him to TJ and Ike, and how they just sort of how Ike Butker and TJ Hawkinson, about how he's just kind of got a knack for it, and how he has a rare ability to get in the right position. So about the highest praise you could have on a walk-on former high school quarterback who's now going to be probably a feature of the offense for the next 2+ years.
And he should. And the other part is you got to keep in mind, he's put on 45 pounds. He's probably finally learning how to move his body.
True. Physically, he's catching up.
Like, that's the big deal. And again, this is a guy who, it's not quite the level of Connor Colby from this stance, but like, he's a guy who probably got thrown in the mix too early.
Yeah.
He earned the scholarship and all of that. But due to injuries and everything else, he's been thrust into this, and that's going to accelerate his development. But he's had some bad moments. But now we're starting to see some of those early season struggles turn to late season production. On top of that, next year's tight end room is finally the first time in the last couple of years, in my opinion, with all due respect to Luke Lachey, I think injuries have really hurt his NFL career and his football career. I think he's a very talented guy, nicest guy ever.
Happens.
Anyway, and Eric All as well. Eric All's knee injuries have decimated him, right? Now you're looking with so much talent and so much potential in that tight end room. They've bragged about Thomas Meyer. We know what he's capable of. I love Luke Brewer, the dude from Norwalk. Like, he reclassified. I think he has a chance. I'm not saying as a true freshman.
Their room is stacked.
They are, and they get Vanami for 3 more years. With all due respect to Ostrenga, I don't know what to expect out of them. Just potential injury and everything else. Like, you get experience, you get leadership back, you get a guy who's a good locker room guy, and that might come up with a few big catches, right? But now you look at that tight end room. Oh, on top of Michael Burt as well, right? Now you're like, okay, Abdul, like it's been a couple down years. All right, Tim, look at the talent. Once you get the tight ends a little bit more in the passing game, that's going to take pressure off of the wide receivers. But there's no doubt they need more talent on the outside. We're going to see what Terrence Smith becomes in the offseason. If RVZ stays healthy, what's his ceiling going to look like? Now there's pressure on the other positional groups to elevate themselves because Lester's revamped the quarterback room. Now
are we just completely missing Ortworth here as well?
I think he's in danger of falling out of the rotation next year.
Really?
I that's just a me thing. Like, they've been high on him, but like I think we've seen his snap count drastically drop. And
he's disappeared almost.
And I'll tell you what, based on trajectory and just of everything, I get this. Maybe this is a hot take. Maybe it's not. I don't know how people are going to react. I think Thomas Meyer passes him next year.
Well, it's individually tough for Zach Ortworth if that's the case, but Ortworth was like he had some really good plays.
Yes, he did.
That he put on tape and like really helped the Hawks in several situations, like some big plays too. And if he's fallen down the depth chart, that just means that the room's level has elevated. And again, I think that's a huge underlying. I think RVZ and Ostrenga going out this year hurt what this passing attack could have been. I think it would have taken a step.
Yeah.
Having those guys from the beginning to advance week by week by week. We saw the team get better, the passing attack stayed stagnant is because they were just continuously flailing their arms trying to figure out where the consistency was in it because of injuries. And I think you're right. We're onto something here. The tight end room, the tight end U might be back in 2026.
I'll say this about Ortworth too, and this is just my eye test. I think his lack of run blocking ability has really hurt him. And I know he had a couple bad drops earlier in the year. I think you look at Vanami's, trajectory and the way he's elevated himself. Hell, Hayden Large, what he's brought as a blocker. He's had a couple big catches. Like
they want and will only use guys who are going to be capable of blocking, as they should. If you're versatile and you can do both, you can't just throw a guy in who's known as, well, we're going to throw if he's in the game.
Well, unless you're Noah Fant.
Well, Noah was a receiver. Noah was a receiver that played tight end.
And I'm not shitting on Noah Fant. Noah Fant was a freak at Iowa.
He still is a freak.
Yes, he is, right? And
he's
Burrow is healthy because I think in that offense with Burrow would be
Noah is
really good.
Yeah, Noah's like your outlier in that conversation. He doesn't count.
He's a guy. Yeah. I mean, but again, he was lining up in the slot. He was lining up at wide receiver, right?
You can do whatever with him.
Exactly.
Shout out to Big Grove. They're an outlier as well as the best brewery in the state. And they have the best experience that you could imagine if you want to go and watch a Hawkeye football game. The official watch party location of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Easy Eddie. Where's my little koozie? It's right here. Easy Eddie.
Ooh, I like
How about that? Little hazy IPA. Had one when I was over at the live show that we did with Corey earlier this year. Citrus Surfer. Big Grove hooking us up. And they don't just have great beer, great drinks. They have great food as well. An awesome place to add to the rotation if you're in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines area.
Solon as well.
Yeah, Solon.
Solon as well. That's the OG one, right?
Yes, it is. Tyler Linderbaum. Shout out to him. And then shout out to Hamburg Inn. This will be, I think today is the last day that we have the Hamburg on for the sort of that home run of 5 games out of 7 that we're home. And we're really trying to hammer home the people into the Hamburg over in Iowa City. Nice little diner spot. It's the exact, it's got the feeling you're looking for. You want that just good, hearty, just American food. Go in there, the ambiance, the history on the walls, the pie shakes. Take it to go. Order it to go. Pick it up. Take it home. Hamburg Inn, Big Grove, both elite locations for a dining experience. Michigan State, there's not much to say. They're not a good football team. Like I said, they have a bunch of injuries. At one point, Smith was talking about how they've got 2 redshirt freshmen, I think, on their offensive line. Or maybe it's their defensive line. It's on
Iowa by 20. Let's put it that way. I'm going to predict about 3-score win.
I was going to say, this is another Minnesota, Wisconsin type win. I don't know if it's that big, but it could be. It could be that big. And I don't see any way how this is a close game. Now, that's all to say, Coach Ferentz talked about how their focus was purely on the last 2 weeks for Michigan State. They played Minnesota tight. They played Penn State tight. It's the Big Ten, and as Coach said in the press conference, quote, the Big Ten is always tough in November, no matter the opponent. So the boys got to come out and play. They got to punch them in the mouth, but if they do, they should take care of this game. David, any final thoughts for you before we wrap this up?
No, I just appreciate everybody tuning in. I love doing this show. It's one of my favorite shows that I've consistently done. I think it's unique. One day we'll take down the A&F guys because we hate them.
We have no shot. We have no shot at taking them down. I think they might take down all of Iowa media if they keep ascending at the rate they are. They are really such a.
By the way, for the record, they're awesome dudes. I've talked to them a couple of times. Everybody that I know, and I know Elliot's really tight with them as well. They're just 2 high quality human beings on top of being great analysts, and the fact that they're blessing Iowa by being able to do it and to provide a different perspective. This is something that not a lot of fan bases get to have with the level of knowledge. So I really am happy that people are showing them love.
I was just going to say, you don't get this type of you don't get this type of breakdown for a specific team week by week by really any. I don't think any teams get this because there's national people who will do this, but they do it for a bunch of different games. They're not just doing it for one fan base. And there's people who do it on a lesser level, but it's not to the extent at which they do it. What the ANF guys, the Fredericks, are doing is so unique, and it just so happens to be for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's unbelievable, to the point where the opposing teams are going to watch the podcast, or the fans of the opposing teams are going to watch the podcast, because it's a breakdown of the other team as well. And they're so good. There's 0% of them is what it's about. They make it about football. They make it about the X's and O's. They're not selfish. They don't have any ego. It's just pure.
You know what else they do better than anybody that I've probably ever seen? The outside of maybe like JJ Redick and a couple of major people. They don't talk dumb to you. They act like everybody knows what the hell they're talking about, and that ultimately elevates everybody's knowledge.
Yeah, they don't have to explain things. The way that they come across, their tone, and the exact amount of which they explain to what they don't explain it's just packaged perfectly. And it's truly unbelievable what they're doing.
Hey, Fredericks, by the way, I'm expecting my check in the mail after that.
Yeah, the compensation just went up, ANF pod.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
But shout out to them. We're really not trying to take them down. I hope that they elevate. I think in my like entrepreneur mind, they should stop being attorneys, which sounds so stupid, but they should stop being attorneys and just dive full first into a show like that, hire like a full-time producer, and just do a college football show. They could both make a living just doing a weekly.
I agree.
And maybe it turns into that someday, but we're glad to have them as in the Hawkeye Nation for now. For David and myself, that's the Michigan State presser preview. Shout out to you guys for listening. Come tonight to the Michigan State preview with Grant and myself and Kevin, where we don't really preview the game, but we talk college football around the country and a bunch of other stuff. And that'll be the two shows this week, and then catch the recap on Sunday. Again, merch in the corner, holiday merch. Go to it. Check your patreon.com/washupwalkons account if you are one of the subscribers for a discount code. Sign up to basically pay for your month of subscription too if you're going to buy something. And we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.